Hopefully it's going to work now. Okay.
I think I'm getting old. Technology is becoming
yeah. I don't know if it helps, but you're not alone in this endeavor of getting old.
No, I don't feel old, but anyway.
It doesn't feel like it.
I was like, what is
I was telling a little bit that our relationship before, that we know each other for 20 years.
Oh my God, it's 20 years?
Yeah.
Sure? No, even more, I think, no?
No,
probably
because
even more.
I arrived in Europe in the end of 2000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that so much. Okay. Wow, 20 years. Anyway.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like you're getting older, but we definitely are getting older. You know? I don't know old, but older for sure.
Yes.
So thank you, Marek, for joining me here.
Thank you. Thank you. It's really
I'm very excited
nice
to open up this subject because we always have such an interesting discussions. You know,
yes.
Just getting engaged in the flow and lots of interesting topics. It come out naturally whenever we meet.
Usually, yes. Yes, after 5 minutes we see each other, we are already deep into all kind of subjects.
Right.
Usually.
I would like to start asking some questions about your dance.
Yes.
I don't remember so well, but I have the impression in that time when we got to know each other, you are not, or maybe you were starting your exploration to Butoh, but you are not very engaged in Butoh.
I think it had just started that year, I think. Or maybe the year before this, I'm not totally sure, or 99 or in 2000. That was where I started. Let me think. I think I started then already to work with Hisako Horikawa. That is my main teacher, basically. And I had experimented with some other workshops. By now she's already dead. Carlotta Ikeda was my first experience, and after that, I think I found Hisako. But yeah, in that time, I had like a few, maybe one workshop or two workshops when we met. I was still very much into the improvisation, because we met in the improvisation thing in the school there.
I think we met, I don't know if you were there in that class of Kurt Kugel.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Yes.
The theater school on the top studio.
Yes, very nice place.
Yeah. But what was your motivation? Why did you start transition from improvisation into the Butoh? What is the qualities of Butoh that start to hook you very strongly?
Actually, it was thanks to a friend of mine who actually, a woman that loved to explore different ways. She had done a workshop in Romania or Bulgaria or whatever. And she told me about the exercise that she had done in the workshop with the Japanese master, which I don't know who it was or what it was. And the moment that she started to talk about this, I still remember she was telling me they did an exercise where they walked through an imaginary swimming pool where they didn't have to make waves while they walk. And I never had heard something like that. So I was like, immediately, I have to find this. This is something that I'm looking for, because I was actually quite frustrated from my career as a dancer, like modern dancer. Or first I was classical dancer, basically. And then modern dance and improvisation, because none of these techniques, none of these ways touched something that I really felt connected to. So I had almost given up, basically, on dance. And when this came along, I really started to go back to dance, to movement, or dance, I don't know, to movement. Always the word dance is a bit difficult word for me. And I got really hooked, because each time I took a workshop, I I really was immediately confronted with all my blocks, with all my things that I never could get through in dance, because dance was always getting into form, into creating something, presenting something, and perfect the steps that you learn for a choreography, and even I felt the same for improvisation. I had the same experience because there were certain rules that you had to be followed, and certain principles, and so I always felt not free to express really how I was. And in Butoh, for me, it was first of all to erase all the programming. That took me like, I think, 15 years to erase all the programming of classical dance, of modern dance, of all the different techniques that I had learned. And then yeah, like maybe 7-8 years ago, I started really to enter deeply into, now I feel free of all these forms.
Sounds like it was a long road of deconstruction.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, because it has also to do, because I'm a very, when I started to discover different dance techniques, I was very obsessive. I was a very obsessive person. For example, when I was like 15, 16, I did some tap dance classes, and I would take my tap dance shoes to school, and in the break I would go on the hallway or whatever and do my tap dance moves, like ignoring all the people around me. I wouldn't give a damn. So, and I did with any kind of technique. So, starting with, then later with other techniques like ballet, I would stay from 7:30 in the morning until 10:30 in the evening in the studio, and try all these steps. So I was really pushing it into my body, all these forms.
So did you import this quality of obsession in the process of deconstruction? Yes,
absolutely. Yeah.
And Butoh has at least has a stereotype. Butoh is the dance of the darkness.
Yes, I think yes, that is it's something that fascinated me a lot for a long time. And I always switched between these two founders, Hijikata and Kazuo Ono. And one looks more like he's the dark side, Hijikata, and Kazuo Ono more the light side. And I always switched front and back and front and back. But through the years, I feel more distance from all of these. And thinking about the theme that we would talk about, the darkness, I was thinking, yeah, I'm kind of leaving this duality, because I'm leaving out a kind of judgment, dark, or so it goes to a different floor where I like to explore. But it's a very, they are very extreme images that are often connected with the Butoh. I remember reading about, or hearing about, maybe from about Min Tanaka, who was who worked together with Hisako Horikawa, which I worked with so long, and that he did like experiments where he would stay in the garbage on the street for a time, or maybe even for a day or something. He would do this kind of projects very in the dirt, or maybe it was also in Chikata. I don't remember exactly the story, but there are many extreme stories of these.
And have you had experiences yourself going close to that kind of extreme situations?
Not that extreme, I wouldn't say so. We work with Hisako often. We worked in Amsterdam when we did workshops. We worked in the streets, so we would be carried around on the streets or on the canals of Amsterdam, and maybe one would put a foot into a group of people would carry you around with your eyes closed and would put you somewhere, and maybe a foot would end up in the canal or in the garbage, or so it's for sure not that deep. And I don't know. I didn't ever had the wish to go in that direction so extreme. I'm not the. Maybe it's because of my background, but I am also not interested in the aesthetics alone. I'm not interested about the beauty.
That's one point I would like to discuss with you, because I consider you one of the most authentic movers, dancers.
Thank you.
I follow a little bit, your however you call it, progress or growth or just your path. And I don't see you compromising at all.
No.
You never took a decision based on recognition from people or any other qualities that would easily pull people into certain directions. Yes. And I think you being like 100% coherent to your art, and taking like all the costs that comes with that choice.
Yes.
And maybe you had a structure that also could allow yourself, you could afford to embrace.
Yes, absolutely.
Which I think it's amazing, because artists, I think we all share a common ground of going towards a path which is not for money. So we know that's not becoming an artist. It's not for financial growth or wealth. It's because we want to express something that connects to our soul. But the huge paradox, once you arrive in this field, it's very difficult also to make their living. So lots of people, they start to compromise. They have to do and even at certain point they even don't realize the compromise.
No.
It's just
I always compromise less. I started at one point. When I left Berlin after I had been studying in Holland and going back to Berlin to work as ballet dancer, I started I said, like, okay, this is not the thing. I went back to Holland, and from that on, I stopped to say yes to many things already. And then it through the years, it was always less, always more no's, always more no's.
And how is it for you to deal with this narrowing of path? Maybe it was expanding inside in terms of self-fulfillment, something like that. But on the way of relating to the environment, it might have been tough as well to feel a deviation of let's say the stream, where you see all your people or your peers follow along, and suddenly you feel more excited.
I see so many names of people that I knew or what I have met in my career, or as dancers or whatever, the kind of careers they made. So some people end up as world famous choreographers and leaders of schools, and it's incredible. And I'm happy for them, but I don't have any need for that. And the path is always more lonely. But what I get out of it is they get always closer to that authenticity that I'm looking for, that you already mentioned, that you can see. But for me, it's a very personal path, but I think it's absolutely necessary to be able to transfer something because I love giving lessons or classes. And I think this is so necessary to transfer something really authentic to people that want to work with you, study with you, or learn from you. I cannot for myself accept to let's say work in a ballet company and trying to teach something totally different that I really feel is connected to me. This compromise was always impossible for me.
Yeah, I admire a lot this quality, because I find it's very rare.
It's very tough.
You never compromise.
No.
Whatever you believe, you are 100% coherent and you go for it. And it does make a difference. Because apart from appreciating your quality of never compromise, being always authentic, I really mean that for me, you are one of the most impressive movers, dancers.
Well, thank you.
And that's my motivation to invite you to
Thank you
have
very
this
much.
event in Tuscany. Unfortunately, this time you had to cancel because of this crazy pandemic situation. But in a way, I feel like it's amazing that you are so dedicated to the core of your objective. Whatever pulls you in that direction. So you're really going deep into that. But there's a question: why not share this with other people? How to find a balance to bridge this deep investigation into knowing and give the voice. Maybe there are other people they could also resonate with you.
Yes.
So have you thought about that? These dynamics of going so deep one direction, being okay to be, let's say, lonely or more alone, and how much there's a need also to now to come out of this cocoon and and invite people to share, to transmit this deep knowledge, because it's very rare. For me, it would be a pity or a waste. If
I'm very happy that you want to give me that chance, and I was waiting for that there would come a moment that would feel natural, because sometimes there were options to do something, but it never felt. It's not that I didn't feel ready. I felt ready since a long time, but it never felt the right place. And when you came to ask me, I was like, yeah, it feels really good. Yes, I really look forward when the day will come that we will really do that finally, when this whole mess is
I see here Marina said something. I think so too, and I think you gave a very strong impression on Marina, even by sharing this simple insight that you had with all the paper. And she already integrate that, and she's sharing this with her
I'm
students.
so happy. Yes,
and
it's great.
Something was opened up. There was a really big shift in the perception. So I think there is a huge potential of knowledge that could be integrated and transmuted in all different ways.
Yes, I'm always looking forward. I always say when people come to my class, say, steal everything. I'm just happy if you, like, there was this one student who was asking me, but yeah, this weekend I tried some things with my friends. Is that okay? I said, absolutely. Just do it. Just steal everything what you want and just try out, because it's the best what you can do. Because, I have the trust. I will always have new ideas. I will always have things. There's no thing that something can be stolen from me, because anyway, what is really what you can discover new? Everything has been done somehow, in some place, just to catch the right moment for the right person to do something, and then it's new and it brings the person forward.
It shows pretty much that you're confident in yourself.
This is what I found the last.
Don't feel insecurity.
Yes.
That suddenly you come with the idea. This is my idea. No one can take my idea. Steal my idea. So you're so confident in this path, which has been, let's say, lonely, or you're more alone. This sense of aloneness, but you're so much connected to the stream and to the source of your artistic pursuit that you just know that life is evolving and it's unfolding day after day. But there's no shortage of ideas. No. So why should I try to put a fence around something?
It was a specific moment in my career as modern dancer where I learned this for myself, because I was working a little project with like 6 dancers, and the choreographer worked in the studio, and then he closed all the windows and he said, no, nobody has to see, because people steal everything they can see. And I was like, wow, it was so foreign for me. And I was still young and I didn't think of these kind of things. But it started there. That was a seed, that I don't like that. Not because I would steal but I really don't believe in this. It's because it's about sharing. I mean, what can you share if you keep, for me, it's alien not to share.
Now, back to Marina. She wants me to ask you something. No, it goes back to the, let's say, to the dark side of the Butoh of exploration. And I know that within Butoh there was this polarity that what's the name of the dark expression?
Hijikata.
Yeah, Hijikata. And he's one side of the polarity, and Kazuono, they're like the light side. But overall, the expression of Butoh, or the space where you have gone, so now to this point, which you think you're not associating so much to Butoh, maybe you have transformed or transcended, but your expression is very intense. So when you look at that, and whatever is going on inside, but what is externalized, it has a quality of intensity that it is somehow invite us to confront with the spaces which is not this pleasant. It is moving deep spaces inside. So that's at least is my perception. And then I think Marina, just 1 second, then you can develop from that. But what she was very impressed is to see you as a performer tapping into that intense or dark space, however you call it. Better. But there was a certain feelings and emotions that you bring out that is it is deep, let's say. And then when she was meeting you, and it's like, wow, this guy is such a light guy. He's always laughing, like it's almost like it's no compatibility for to see Marek completely absorbed in your role, in your character, and then suddenly to meet you as a person, and so for her it was very clear there was this polarity that you were able to speak from a very dark place, but you're not bringing this darkness, and as a heavy person, your person has a big lightness that you're just naturally emanating. And I don't know if you're aware of that, or if you make a conscious relation that maybe is something I'm suggesting now, maybe not. Maybe what you exercise in that practice of performing, it's also helping you to bring this lightness as a person. You are getting a chance to be in touch with these deep qualities, and just because you channel this out, so that can just help you to become more integrated with the totality of your being. I don't know if it makes sense for you. You can comment on that?
Yes, I can comment on that. The point is that through the years I have managed to be an observer myself. So I really give my body to whatever wants to come out there. And as we see now worldwide, what comes out of humanity is a very dark thing, very dark things, very heavy things. Now for everybody visible, we have really difficult times. I managed through the years to cultivate this way of being there. It's like channeling. You give your body, and I have nothing to do with it. I managed to put myself in a position when I perform that I'm observing myself, and I'm surprised myself what comes out, and I'm sometimes even making little comments like, well, that looks quite heavy, or that looks quite disgusting, or that looks quite, wow, this is really heavy stuff. But like tiny, it's like just a little voice, But it's not. It's really like a ritual. I give my body for the time of performance, and that's it. And after I'm myself again. It's really I don't feel connected with these, and that really is happening the last 3 or 4 years. That it's really happening in this way. That because I can see it only because after I watched a video of a performance, and I can say, okay, this is really not me. This is really something else. My body shows something else. And maybe that's why it's possible to be so different appearing as a person to you or to Marina, and as a performer on stage or any kind of way where I perform.
Now, when you talk about that, remind me a little bit of Jung. It's almost like you are embodying all these archetypes, all these universal patterns that doesn't belong to anyone specifically, but we have the potential of embody and represent that.
Yes.
And when you create this distance, when you can see yourself expressing certain things, but at the same time being able to witness,
exactly.
almost
That's
as
the
if
point.
like there's this dichotomy, of leaving the stuff, but also have the possibility to get at the distance and see what who is that who is doing this
I'm
stuff.
really looking curious. I'm really like curious then, it's like, and that's why also it gives me the freedom to explore, to continue to explore it. Like if I'm in the performance and I'm noticing there's this weird thing happening, this weird figure showing up, I give myself the place to explore it. I learned not to judge or start to analyze or to plan, or so I give the freedom and I let it come out as much as possible.
And you don't feel identification towards these spaces.
No.
So you're free of this identification.
Yes, I don't feel identified. No, absolutely.
And that's probably what gives you the freedom to go into that space, because you don't identify yourself. So whatever comes, like, it's coming through me, but it's not me.
No. Of course, it's always through me.
Yeah.
It is this body that is showing that, no? It's this body in its movements that shows this. So it's always touching a part of me as well. But it's not like it's taking over or I'm taking over. So it's none of those parts that are taking over.
Now I see Itapuan is this brother of mine. We had a live last time. He just joined.
Very nice talk.
And remind a little bit our background in capoeira. Capoeira is also performed in a very ritualistic way.
Yes.
And there is Afro Brazilian cultures and strong roots into that. And as you know, in those cultures, they are very much connected to. They have a different kind of cosmology, different traditions. So they're very much connected to these entities, other spiritual forces. So, and this Afro-Brazilian religion is so much intermingled with the capoeira, called candomblé, or I forgot the name of the other rituals where they evoke entities.
Yes.
So in here in Brazil, it's very common for us to have this expression where people sometimes under the drums or whatever ritual is being adhered. So people, they really go in trance. They go out of their conscious mind, and then whatever happens, you feel like the person is just become a channel for something else, which is very clear is not the person himself or herself. And I that's a curious thing. That's maybe what I was feeling a big lack in contemporary dance, because contemporary dance, especially in Europe, has a completely different background.
Yes.
Europe, especially in Northern Europe, it has one power, which I think it's amazing. The intellectual, the philosophical power.
Yes, the concepts, incredible.
Yeah, incredible. However, I was lacking a little bit this embodiment, this visceral,
Yes.
It's like it was almost like a taboo,
Yeah.
If you go for that space and you are, you become a little bit a strange fish,
Yes, because it's still related to. Oh no, it's still not how you say. It's still related to, in my opinion, to presenting something very much. In the modern dance, like in the classical dance, there's this thing that I call that people are presenting movement, and of course it's the purpose of that. I mean, I just recently saw an interview or something like this or something online with Jiri Kilian, who was talking about this, about presenting the movement and And I was really like, yes, choreography is about that. Okay. But that's why I've never felt at home there, because I'm not interested in presenting movement. It's for me, it's being there, being present, but not presenting, it's like not, I don't know if it's clear what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You are present, but you're not presenting something. You're not
I see.
Performing, not in a way performing. Like it's very difficult. I didn't find the right words yet. It's something that I struggle with since years to this difference, which I see very clearly. For me, for example, maybe it's offending for some people, but for me, there's not much difference between modern dance and classical dance. Because the way how the movement initiates and is presented is very similar. Just the form is different.
Yeah.
And there's for example, a person that was very good in being movement, I would say, maybe that's what I'm looking for, being movement, was Pina Bausch. I just saw it recently again. I have the video of Café Müller from Pina Bausch with Pina Bausch in it. I don't know if you ever saw it. And when you see her move, it's really, she is being movement. There's not a presentation of movement compared to the other dances, which are incredible as well. But there's this tiny difference how they present movement. It's in the how the movement initiates. It's a very
and this difference in presenting the movement. This is the let's say the in the end of the line, but the shift or the difference is not only the presentation. It's like how you perceive, how you look at the whole craft. And I remember when previous talks that you had. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel that you are very much engaged in. I think your dance craft is related to perception. It's about exploring perception.
Very much, absolutely, 100%.
So there's not much concern about digging or extracting forms, but whatever form comes out, it's a result of how you exploring your perception towards yourself, towards the environment. And I think that's what that's my feeling. The way that you look at the dance is very different, and because of that, the end product is going to be also very different.
Yes.
So
no, the point of the perception is my main story, which I actually inherited from my father, who was in visual arts, and he's still a professor for visual arts. And he talks and writes, and his lessons are all about perception. And I never realized, just a couple of years ago, that I realized that it's exactly the same thing that I'm into it. All my exercises that I do are about perception. All the work that I do in my lessons, it's about perception. Very, very important, exactly.
And we know that we are very much conditional beings. Our perception is, we think that we are free, in somehow, but we have no idea, because we've been conditioned since an early age. And the condition of our perception is also define our sense of identity.
Yeah.
And people take this for granted, and they think that's what I am. That's not what you are. That's what you have become. There is a fabrication. So the perception is being very much shaped, to define the identity that we kind of cling ourselves into.
Yes.
And I would like to make this hook to talk about now these pandemics, because in my opinion, we are not going through only a health crisis or economical crisis. We are also we experience a big existential crisis, a crisis of a sense of self-identity.
Yes, because we are thrown back totally on ourselves.
Well, because the way you used to function, all this fabrication, it's not working for many people.
No.
So all the relationships, everything that validates our character, if you depend on a certain work environment, and you establish some codes between you and the people close to you in order to to have a sense of recognition or whatever. And if that environment is not working anymore, so this is the question: who are you now? No, it's not just about like try to find a new job or find a new another source of income. It's about like reinvent yourself, because maybe that person it will be gone, will be maybe wiped out from the environment. And this is why I think people, they start to feel deep fears, and they're not even aware the source of that fear, because you cannot fix that by having another job.
No.
It's much deeper. It's a very, very deep existential crisis that people are going through. Yes. And the danger of that is that maybe it's so overwhelmingly terrifying that people are tending to go into distractions. No?
Yes.
It's finding whatever is under our reach to replace this. No, not being courageous enough to confront that. So maybe internet, it becomes one available tool, because it is a very concrete, very tangible tool we could also use to fulfill our financial needs. On the other hand, it can also give this service of impeding us to confront, to look our naked sense of existence, which is completely crumbling now. And this is, I think, I would like you to comment on that, because that it might have interesting correlations to your pathway, because you've been already in this, you've been already.
Yeah, I don't think so different. Although, I mean, I have my own questions all the time, but for me, the main message is actually, I think, in your talk with your capoeira brother, I cannot say his name. Too difficult for me. I think the main point, which I'm exploring every morning at like 5:30 in the morning with our dog, is reconnecting with nature. And it's not reconnecting with nature, but realizing that we are nature, no? Because we have this illusion that we are separate from nature, or constantly, especially through internet, we get this image. If we just connect in this way, how we are connecting now, which of course has a good side, but at the same time, it's an illusion that we feel disconnected. Like we are not, there's nothing to touch. It's two-dimensional. And so to go back to nature, like I do my walks every morning, and I walk without shoes on the grass for like at least half an hour. This is like the main thing to do for everybody, I think, for most people to reconnect in that way, and realizing we are part of this, absolutely 100%. And I do this now since quite some time, since we are allowed to go again here in Italy to go out, because for a while we're not allowed. We could not go anywhere for making nice walks or something like this. It was totally forbidden. But I think since 1 month or something like that, we are able again. And since then I'm doing that, and I realize it's because it reconnects me with myself, and through that I start to feel reconnected with the world, with everybody. Because on the other hand, okay, we feel disconnected, we cannot have our social contact, but we are never disconnected, because we are all here on this little planet. We all touch the ground. If I touch here my foot on the ground, I know that you touch your foot on the ground many miles away, and I know we are connected because we are on the same planet. There's nothing that can disconnect us. And this gives me, for example, a peace and a feeling of being connected. The point of this internet and all these things that leads you into a virtual reality has this danger of feeling, of enforcing this illusion. So people feel very alone. Maybe they think different of what's going on, or they are angry, or they have a different opinion of what we should do. And everybody feels separate. And feels like, oh, I cannot connect, I cannot make a manifestation because we are not allowed, or we can do it without mask, and all these kind of things. But the moment that we reconnect, we can realize that it's not the case.
But that's pretty much a joke, no? That we can feel that we are disconnected, when in fact we can never be actually disconnected.
Never.
So, but still, the phenomena and the experience of a disconnection is real. You can experience the disconnection.
Sure. Yes.
And yet, you never, in the end, you never been actually disconnected, but you maybe you have the experience of being disconnected.
But that's why it's important, if the reality is cut off of this really touching each other, really meeting each other, really have a social contact. So for me, the sign is it's time to really do the voyage within, you know, which is is the process that I always did. It's like always exploring these dark places. Actually, dark means for me the unseen places, the things that have not seen the light yet. So this is what we have to do. And I mean, the point is, we can discuss about if the virus is made, if the virus is natural, if there are people that want to influence, if there are people that want to manipulate the world or to put us under, or all these kind of things. We can have all these ideas. But if you watch the facts, the message is go inside, stay with yourself, and go into the process. Because that's what's happening.
Yeah.
That is what's happening. The rest is all theories, and maybe they are not theories, maybe they are true, maybe they are not true. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because the fact is that I'm here alone, or maybe I'm not alone because I have my family with me, which I'm really happy and lucky and I'm really, how you say, privileged. But anybody else who is alone, okay, I have to do this travel now. And for me, that's the message. Besides all the what's behind, or how did it come into being, this pandemic?
Yeah, and it's not an easy one, not an easy journey for many people.
It's not
easy journey.
Easy? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Possibly because of the background, the cultural background where we come from.
Yes.
Where the stimuli was favoring other qualities, other values. Yeah. And again, since those values are just not available anymore, then we are left with this sudden confrontation with the self. But maybe we never had to spend some time. I mean, for sure, there's some people, they go in Vipassana or whatever, meditation, mindfulness. These are elements that be present. But as a general, like on a global level, I don't think so.
No, definitely not.
That's not a big challenge. And I think this challenge we see, like there are lots of experts, so to speak, they're predicting a big crisis or increase in suicide rate or mental dysfunction, and all this, in domestic violence.
I'm reading a lot about this.
All of a sudden, the speed had to sort of, there was a step in, how we say, pulling the handbrake, like that at the latest degree that you can, and now we are sort of the whole vehicle is shifting direction, and you are just spinning around, not knowing where we're going to be heading after that. So, and I think it takes lots of spiritual strength, or whatever name you put it, but at least be comfortable to welcome all these fears and let it go of all the patterns. Maybe they're so strong, and also in our habits. And I think it's very difficult for people, those who are more like the control freak types, those to have everything in already pre-plan, like tomorrow, next month, this and this, that way, and sounded like there's nothing.
Non-existent. Yes.
not sustainable anymore. And that's, again, it's informing very much to the kind of personality that you've been, cultivating in this life. And there's a space, there's a room for big transmutation. And I think in that sense, the potential is vast, is amazing. However, it's terrifying. It's
terrifying,
for many people,
yes.
because you have to challenge aspects of the self that you're not even conscious about. You have no idea. You just end up and think that that's how I am. But hey, come on, maybe that's not what you are. Not in essence. That's an expression that, whether you chose or you're being educated in this way or culture.
Which is exactly what Butoh is about, to get rid of all these layers, you always constantly becoming more naked.
Right. This is how I can relate to Butoh. I had a not large experience, but my experience with Butoh is life-changing with the Komodo bush. The seeds Komodo bush. That was
yes.
Crazy mind. But that opened up a lot of a room in my relationship to movement.
Yes.
And so there's some aspects I integrate, bring into my practice. Because my practice, I don't call my practice, but the practice I've been sort of engaged my whole life. And there has this label now, play, fight, liquid body.
Yes.
And so it's the common read is to put this in a category that's become a little bit fashionable now. The martial arts, dancing, a kind of a hybrid, combination of qualities. Yeah, I agree that those components are present. I totally don't deny that, and that's the form, that's the container where the cooking takes place. But the cooking has qualities that I cannot even transmit, not through video. I can transmit sometimes through words, through text. But in that aspect, I think we relate each other, because I'm not interested in cultivating a practice solely, exclusively maintaining the health of the body, or maintaining or not questioning fundamental existential questions. For me, it's that's what I like very much. And this is prior to Bruno engaging in capoeira or in dance or whatever. That's something that is happening as the function of my being. So this is really fundamental. This is really the core drive in. And then, of course, this element, it could be through music, it could be through painting, but it happened to be through martial arts and dance. But the core aspect where I like to dwell is to question all these layers that sort of put on top of each other, and over time it gets crystallized, it consolidates, you identify, and then I feel gentle to confront that, because I don't think we have to be nihilist. We don't need to destroy that and suddenly say, okay, life, there is no meaning at all, but we can have a very fluid relationship to that. We can relate this. Look, this is a play. I can put this costume, but I don't need to think that this is what I am, because next time I can take off that costume and I'm free.
Yes.
Maybe not completely free, because we literally start to crystallize over time. Physically, also mentally, it's very difficult to have the same mind of a child. Yes, but we can cultivate this fluidity. We can cultivate this liquidity. So then we don't become ultimately desperate if the thing doesn't happen according to the character's need. If it doesn't get fulfilled, you have much more flexibility and adaptability to move around, to really flow around the obstacles. And I think that's what is happening now. There's a huge obstacle now, and it's asking us like how much fluidity we can embody now in order to survive with dignity, in integrity.
Yes, I agree 100%.
So in that, I think that's now I am maybe putting ideas more clearly, but that's why we've been always so connected. And that is also the essence of formless arts. Sometimes people, they think like formless arts, is this a joke? No, because in people are so much identified with I belong to this tribe or I belong to that tribe.
It's
But
natural. It's based.
natural.
Yeah.
But deep inside, we are not very different.
No.
And if you can honor the level of the form from a deeper understanding and level of consciousness, maybe you start to become a bit more curious to navigate between those, and see less as a threat to your identity.
Yes.
Because it's normal to have identity, but the cost of stepping or standing very strongly with this identity is everybody who is not your identity, it becomes a potential threat for you. Then you want to eliminate that person. So that's where you have all these conflicts, and you have no solution for that, because you cannot solve this through political, or rhetoric or narrative. We have to go deep inside and question who the hell I am, and who the hell this person is, and how different we are, and how much of the same fabric we are made of. I don't know. I think a lot about these existential questions. I cannot leave this out. If I leave this out, it would be it would be you compromising also your path in Butoh.
Yes. I agree.
Do you have anything to wrap these long comments of mine?
No, I forgot. I had something, but it's fly off. Doesn't matter.
This is my dark side. I really.
Yeah, I could feel this in your letter. I read your letter online, and I was like, wow, yeah, I can feel this.
Which
really
letter?
On your website.
Oh, the article. Yeah.
Article, yeah, it's like a letter article.
Lots of people are a bit scared of me, and I'm very honest, and I can storm. I make mistakes, and my anger, I have all my shit also, and sometimes that's what people they're not very happy with that, because they expect a certain kind of behaviors, and you want to have your expectations fulfilled in a certain way. So it's that's the whole format, the whole container, how things should be operate and digest. And I like to be also authentic in this way, like to be human, and to deconstruct these ideas that you project, all these projections,
expectations.
And so it's been a beautiful and yet a very painful learning for me, to step in this role of facilitating and holding the space. We learn a lot through mistakes, and lots of relationships also get broken. So there are lots of brokenheartedness also along the way. But I realize it's not something exclusive to me. It's just like how humans, they move in life. People come, and there's no other way. You have to get engaged in the actual living craft of a big relationship, and it's a big challenge.
Yes.
And in the end, it's all about back to us, back to
us, exactly.
Sense of a big responsibility, self-responsibility, and I think there are lots of opportunities, but it's not easy.
Oh, who said it's easy? Simple, but not easy.
Yeah, I like I like this moment where I'm here in this private jungle, also spend a lot of time on my own. I miss a lot Marina. I miss being here, miss being with the team, with the people. But it's been also a valuable time to have this breath, to have this time and space, not to do anything, not just slow down and wake up, and not have to do anything to remove. I have to you don't have to do anything.
I can just relate to this in my work, because I had to stop my classes, and So I just do like being like doing things at home, no? And of course the process continues, and I always ask the same questions again. What am I doing here? What is this? Why I'm doing this? What do I want to do in my lessons? Why I'm doing these lessons? What is this for? And I love that. And as I told you, I think when we last time talked, that I'm questioning a lot about the words, that we are talking so much, you know, like also when we give lessons, we talk so much. When there's like, I don't know, 80 or 90% of our communication is body language, naturally. So we are all able to perceive it. We can deny it or we can ignore it, but we will always notice it. We always perceive it. And it's not letting me go, this questioning. And I'm thinking a lot about how to give lessons after I will be able to start again giving lessons. And then it came to my mind just today or yesterday when you have classes with Japanese masters, they usually use very little words. They don't use much words. So probably they did this process already, some of them. Only if they stay too much in Europe, they start to talk a lot.
I recognize my tendency there. In one of the aspects I've been working, focused on.
Yes. It's a danger. I think it's a danger because it's not about that. It's not about the words. The words can never replace the body language.
That's true, but the words, they can be pointers.
Yeah.
And it can be sometimes difficult to at least to offer direction if you don't clarify what is this about, because everybody comes with their own perception as well.
Yes.
Own understanding. So everybody can have yeah, it is my understanding, I got it. And yeah, for me, I don't have a final resolution for this balance.
Hopefully not.
Knowledge transmission, how much you should engage with the words, how much the words are helping, how much the words are also blocking. Yeah, I think it depends also which kind of knowledge we are transmitting.
Yes, so definitely
there are certain things that is better not speak anything, but maybe there are other kinds of knowledge, at least to get started. If you don't communicate verbally, it also can be very difficult unless there is a natural empathy or, I don't know, sense of connection that will allow people to speak on the same frequency, which is a.
But I feel that often in my lessons that when I manage to open up in that way, I start to use less words and I manage to communicate. I mean, the process started already before this pandemic story started, and I had to use less words to reach the people.
Yeah.
And it's really the opening of myself as the one who provides the lesson, no? And because it's easy to make up your philosophy and your ideas, and then you're there and you're the professor, you know, you're like, oh, this is like this and this is like this and this is. That's
lots of bullshit, no?
It always becomes bullshit in the end.
Yes.
Because we are constantly evolving. Constantly.
Marek, I have to wrap here because I have only 30 seconds.
Okay.
We are coming to an end, so thank you very much.
Yes.
It's a big pleasure. I want to thank everybody also who joined us.
Thank you very, very much for everybody. Yes, for you to invite me. It's
very inspiring.
Thank you. For me too, very much.
I look forward to meet you soon in Europe.
Oh yes, me too.
Hopefully in July I'll be there around.
I cross my fingers.
Cross my fingers too. No? Big hug to the ladies.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself.
You too.
Ciao.
A big kiss.